Okay, so good morning, good afternoon, good evening to everybody who's listening. And I'm saying that because today my guest is Dr. Kerry Howells. I'm here in London, she's there in Australia. So there's a big time difference. It's morning for me, it's evening for you. So hello, Dr. Kerry Howells.
Hi.
And the podcast today is about gratitude. And Dr. Kerry Howells is based in Australia, as I've said. And she is a doctor who's promoting gratitude. She has written a couple of books, and she's encouraging teachers and also athletes and everybody. And she's been going for 25 years. I'm not going to say much. I'm now going to hand you over to Dr. Kerry. And I think I should just call you Kerry, yes?
Kerry. Yes, Kerry.
So you can take it over from here. So,
Yes.
Kerry, how are you?
I'm very good, Zenzi. Thank you. It's lovely to be this connected so far from each other. But it was so lovely meeting you on World Gratitude Day when I was there in the UK. That was a really special moment. So I'm really glad we can continue the conversation.
No, yeah. I was invited by a friend of mine, and I was so glad I went, because as I was saying just before this recording, I'll say it again, my podcasts are about helping people to know different types of tools they can use in their life in this present day and age, and any age really, when we have problems, when we have difficult situations, and just life, and what can we use, what can we do to overcome those situations. And I've done others before with laughter, gratitude, and different things. So when I came to your lecture, and it was all about gratitude, and I thought, yes. And the way you explained it so well, to show people, and the fact that you've been doing this for 25 years, you've got a lot of experience, and I thought I wanted to share this with people. So without me saying any more, I'm going to hand over to you. But what I want to say before handing over, which I hope you will start with, what made you start, or how did you start with gratitude? What brought you to the situation of gratitude?
Yes, very, very good question, to go right back to the beginning. So I'd had experiences like most people have about the wonders and power of gratitude, and also what it feels like when it's missing. And I had, in my early academic career, I had a beautiful job where I was teaching philosophy, which is my main field. And I thought the students were really blessed to be learning this course. The only problem was that they all had to do it. It was compulsory. So it was a university course, and even if they came from business or law or journalism or any other course, they had to do this course, because the wisdom of the university was that it was going to help them think through ethical problems. Mm-hmm. And I was really excited, but most of them would come in after their Club Med holidays and driving their beautiful cars, which were parked next to my bomby car, and then they'd come in and they'd be full of complaint and dissatisfaction. So they'd be very happy before they actually got into the classroom, but as soon as they got in, they just went into every state that wasn't gratitude. So I struggled, and the other tutors on the course were struggling as well with this attitude that they had. So I just stopped one day and thought, I just can't keep going like this. We're at stalemate. I really wanted them to learn. They didn't want to learn. So I just said, look, we just can't continue. And I said, from my perspective, you are so blessed. And I asked them to think about what they were grateful for, and they couldn't think of anything. So then I just suggested that the inner attitude that they were bringing to their studies was one of complaint and dissatisfaction, and it was really inhibiting their ability to be really engaged. Mm-hmm. And then to my amazement, they wanted to know more, because I thought they didn't want to be engaged, but actually they wanted to be, but they didn't know how to be. So then I just suggested gratitude as a strategy, just anecdotally. And we kind of experimented together. So I said, okay, how might we start every lesson with a gratitude practice? There was nothing in those days about gratitude in university education.
Okay.
As I said in my lecture, I was considered as some kind of white witch when I first started researching this, like it's new age, it's religious. But actually the students themselves were the ones who were reporting that this made a big difference. And so then my students did better than the other tutor students, and they had higher evaluations. And so my dean, who was struggling with these students who were failing in other courses, said, would I do what I was doing there with these other students? And so it just grew from there.
Lovely. So
Yeah.
it's purely in a way by accident, but thinking out of the box and pushing it along from there. And
yeah,
so from there, how have you done? Because I said 25 years and you've done
Yeah.
research and done so much, and it's become international. And so how have you taken it forward?
Well, it's a good question, because I didn't have much support, as I said, but I was, just because my students were really responding, I just persevered. But then I realized that my own inner attitude was also affecting my students. So if I was full of complaint and dissatisfaction in the tea room or something before going into the classroom, I could really notice a difference in the atmosphere. And so then I realized that I needed to move on from students to teachers.
Mm-hmm.
And so then I developed a whole approach, and I developed that approach for a number of years. And I would go into many schools and talk to teachers and find out from teachers about the complexities of gratitude. So I come to this from the perspective of a philosopher, not a psychologist.
Okay.
And so I'm really interested in the giant concept of gratitude.
Yes.
And the complexities. I'm really interested in listening and teasing out the dilemmas.
Yes.
Especially in adversity. Like, that's my favorite thing to be thinking about. So with teachers I deliberately went into very tough schools and asked teachers what the challenges to gratitude were. And I started to take note of these. But for them, one of the challenges was that the school leaders weren't practicing gratitude. So then I thought, okay, I need to develop
on board.
a whole approach for leaders. So then I did and each step of the way I was researching, writing papers, and trying to get it really embedded in a research way, but it was still a bit tough. So then somebody in elite sport heard in the Australian Institute of Sport heard about this work. So she thought that maybe this could make a difference to the athletes. And so this was very funny, Zenzi, because I am not sporty at all. I don't play it. I don't watch it. I'm not interested in it. But then I was a couch potato for a whole Olympics, because I knew I would be having some of these Olympians and Paralympians, and we were researching that. And it's taken me all around the world. I'm a visiting professor at Tallinn University in Estonia. I went there in 2022, and it was really life-changing, considering that the Ukraine war had just broken out recently, and it's just on the border, as you know, and they had already suffered from Russian occupation. So I was really interested in where gratitude could help with, what were the complexities, once again, of gratitude in the context of the Ukraine war. Yes. So I was experimenting with, and I'm also really passionate about cross-cultural dimensions of gratitude. I think there's a great big story to tell about how different cultures express gratitude, like gratitude expressed to them. And I really believe that a really great way to get to know somebody from another culture really quickly is to ask them that question, like, how do you like to have gratitude expressed to you, and how do you like to express gratitude? And that's a very wonderful way. So I've been to the University of South Africa. I worked with a Zulu scholar in Pretoria,
Oh my
Um,
gosh.
I've looked at African Indigenous cultures gratitude. I've looked at Australian Indigenous cultures gratitude from the perspective of teachers who are teaching Australian Indigenous kids. So yeah, it's taken me everywhere.
It's taken you everywhere. My gosh. I know when I heard your lecture, but sitting here and listening to you now, it's, and I'm sure it's with people listening, it's really hitting home how gratitude has such an impact on our lives and on our attitude. As you say, you're not looking at it from a psychological, but from a bigger perspective. And it and it is a universal thing. This energy, because from your students, the energy shifted and it helped them to shift. And then yourself finding out and then teaching people. And it's about shifting that energy into a place where things can flow more easily.
Exactly. Yes, that's a very beautiful way of describing it, Zenzi. I think I also talk about gratitude as a practice.
Yes.
Because I'm looking, in terms of looking at the complexities of it, one of the things that people get wrong or incorrect in terms of their practice of gratitude is that they they tend to equate it with positive thinking. And they think that they have to be positive in order to be grateful. But as gratitude has this very important giving and receiving aspect to it. So for it to be gratitude rather than praise or positive thinking, it has to have this sense of what I have received and like really feeling that.
Yeah.
And feeling that and then being motivated to give back. Yeah.
Now, I was just going to interrupt you, but you came out and said it because, as you said, it's positive thinking is coming from the mind. But you said with gratitude, it's not just from the mind; it's about feeling, and feeling is from the heart.
Yes.
So when you and the heart is the most important thing because it is that which motivates and really pushes us forward. It's from the heart and not from the mind. And when you do have that gratitude, it affects your whole being, your whole body, and your health.
Yes.
As it comes.
Yes, it's beautiful. You're describing it so beautifully. So gorgeous. Yeah, it does. It really it has a ripple effect.
Yeah.
Not only inside, but I'm really interested in the ripple effect outside ourselves.
Yes.
I'm really interested in its capacity to heal difficult relationships.
Yes.
And I think that's our imperative in the state of the world at the moment. So I'm really passionate about looking at the role that gratitude can play in the relational dimension, not just our own internal state, which is really important, but more how much people can feel better about themselves and about our relationship if they feel valued by us.
Yes.
And to do that with people in our inner circle is really easy. But to do it with people who've hurt us, that's the big challenge. And that's the challenge, I think, of our time, really. That's where gratitude has its biggest role.
Yes. And I think when you say doing it with people that we know is one thing, doing it with somebody that we don't know. And I think when you are looking at the different cultures and how they perceive and how they give gratitude, that is part of it, isn't it? As you say, doing it with somebody we know, doing it with somebody we don't know, it takes it beyond those bounds.
Yes, and really what I'm also saying is doing it with somebody we know who we don't like.
Yes.
That's the nub of it all.
That's the nub of it all.
We can say, oh yeah, I can be grateful to this person, and I'm really grateful that the sun has risen, and I'm really grateful for my family, and I'm just really a grateful person. But then when we think about the people that have hurt us,
yes,
the natural thing for us to feel is the opposite of gratitude, which is resentment. And that's what my book is all about. It's about the interrelationship between gratitude and resentment.
Yes, you have written a book, and it's called Untangling You, and it's
Yes,
about how
untangling
one
you.
can be grateful when. And you said in your book, how can I be grateful when I feel so resentful?
Yes. That's the question. That's the question. And I came to that question because in my very first book, which was called Gratitude and Education, A Radical View, I had a chapter in that book called In Toxic Waters, and it was exploring all about how resentment is really toxic. And then I had these book clubs with a lot of school leaders, academics, and other people. I really am very passionate about book clubs as a way of getting to understand this, because we can go more deeply over time with each other as a community of practice. That's one of my favorite ways to explore this. And as an author, I'm just so fascinated to hear how my books and my writing is sitting with everybody.
Yes.
But anyway, inevitably, people would want to go straight to that chapter in Toxic Waters. And then at the end, in many of my workshops, people would go, okay, I get gratitude, but how can I be grateful when I feel so resentful?
Yes.
And there wasn't really anything written on that in terms of the everyday kind of resentment that I'm talking about, not the more traumatic kinds, because I'm not a therapist.
Yeah.
It's really more, you know, if you don't get the job that you believed everyone else believed you should have got, or the dog next door is barking and the neighbor won't shut it up. The sibling rivalry, sometimes that's very traumatic. There's so many different sort of neighbors, you know, just people who put us down and make us feel small. There's a lot of different everyday resentments. So there's not enough spoken about that, and nothing written really about the interconnection between, until I wrote my book, not much written about the interrelationship between gratitude and resentment. Yeah.
And it's the interrelation with, in fact, this is with everyday life.
Yes.
Everybody's facing. And this is particularly why I wanted to bring you to talk about this, because we are facing so much today with everyday life, with our family, because whatever's going on in our lives is a reflection of the macrocosm, because we are the micro. So if in our individual lives and in with our family, with our work, with whatever, and we don't, and we have that anger, because resentment results in anger, it reflects in the bigger picture, as you well say, and this is what's brought you to it. So really, which I say, and I say when I'm speaking, everything begins with us. And if we want to change what's going on in the world, we must start with us first.
Absolutely.
And this is why I feel your work is so important, and how you started and what triggered you. It was with those students, direct connection. And it's showing you that when we start with us and with the students, they then could concentrate and enjoy that which they've actually come for. And therefore, the same is individual. When we start with us, it will make us look at things different, but it makes our biology within ourselves change. And it makes us look and react in a different way. What have you feedback have you had from, you said athletes, and you've had teachers who are teaching other students and other things. What feedbacks have you had?
Well, I've done research in a number of contexts, and it's qualitative research. So I'm looking at self-reporting and interviewing rather than looking at big numbers.
Yes.
And because I think the narrative of gratitude has to be captured in the individual stories and their context and their culture and story that they give. So I'm interested in their story of gratitude. So one athlete's story of gratitude is going to be different to another athlete story, and that is reality.
Yes.
So I'm a bit anti big studies that try to homogenize the experience of gratitude, because I don't think it gives enough voice to the to the nuances and the culture. So there are common themes amongst all my research, no matter what the context, and that is that people feel calmer. So when they practice gratitude, like you're saying, the physiological difference it makes, people feel calmer. They feel more engaged, which is what my students were saying. They feel more connected, and their general well-being improves. That's just one after the other. It comes down to, it's a very common experience. So then around that, though, are all the other individual differences. But I'm most interested in the fact that gratitude makes us feel calmer, because it seems like there's a really strong power of gratitude to create world peace, which is what my my bigger picture is, to help gratitude contribute to world peace, and yours as well, your aim. But I think I can only hypothesize as to why people feel calmer. And I think it has a lot to do with loosening the hold of resentment, because people, when you, or also so when you let go of your resentment, when gratitude, it's never to replace resentment, but when you allow more gratitude to flow towards the person who you have difficulties with, then you have a greater sense of calm. And you don't allow that to have a stronger hold. But also, I think all of us have this really innate need and desire to thank people who we owe our thanks to, like our parents, our children, our neighbours, our shopkeeper. And when we act on that, then we feel calmer. That's my hypothesis. Like, I think that there's a really niggling need to thank.
And I, again, what I'm hearing and what I keep on saying to people, we are energy. And science has said we are energy as human beings. And energy is a flow. And when that energy is disturbed, it takes on a different form. So, of course, anger is also energy. Resentment is energy. But when you have that feeling of gratitude, and you've proved this, it brings in a calmer. It changes the energy back to a positive stance, because anger and all that is negative. So what I'm hearing from you is that when we have this sense of gratitude, it changes that physiology within us, the energy within us. It does make us calmer. It changes it and rebalances us, so that things can flow and we can see things in a different way. We understand things in a different way. And as you said, it is more positive. And I suppose when I'm looking at it as it's fizzling out, we become less aggressive, and we can look at things from a different perspective and better understanding. I think that's what I want to get. It gives us a better understanding of what we're faced with.
Yes. Gratitude has this beautiful illuminating power. It shows us, because when you say, "Oh, I can be grateful to this person, but never that person," that's gratitude. That's gratitude showing us something that is not gratitude. And so it helps us see the areas that if we dare to, because it takes a lot of courage to work with gratitude. Somebody that has hurt us, that's the most difficult part. That's the most difficult place to go with gratitude. So people who I've worked with who have cancer, who have had a lot of adversity in their life, bankruptcy, gratitude is more accessible there than it is with difficult relationships. That's why. And also, I think it's important that we move from gratitude as a feeling to gratitude as an action.
Yes.
Because I don't agree that anger is a negative thing. Anger can be a really transformative thing, because it gives us wisdom, and it's just unchecked anger or unbridled anger is really destructive. And resentment, I would never say is good.
Yeah.
But I think gratitude has its greatest power and sustainability if we just choose one person that we want to, a little bit out of our comfort zone, not the high-lying fruit, but just the low-lying fruit, just one person that we find it a little bit difficult, and we make that person our gratitude practice for however long it takes.
Yes.
And we choose little actions within that practice, little gratitude actions for a period of time, because if we're practicing there with that person, then that has a really big flow-on effect and ripple effect on all areas of our lives. And with all the complex environments that I've been into, that seems to make gratitude a lot more accessible than trying to hold on to that feeling of gratitude all the time, because you can imagine teachers in complex schools. It's really hard to do that.
I stand corrected, and you're quite right when you said anger is not always a bad thing, because it can also catapult you for change. It can give you that strength, that courage for change. So you're quite right. And as you say, sometimes you can't always have gratitude because the environment you're in, and of course it's about looking at things with wisdom, using it with wisdom, but opening you out to the endless possibilities and encouraging others.
Yes.
No, it's wonderful. It's wonderful. Now, you've got online classes and different things you're doing. Could you talk a bit about that, because I'm sure people are listening, and it's opening up so many things. What else are you doing so that people?
I've got quite a lot of things that I'm doing on my website, kerryhowells.com, and I'm really love writing Substack articles on gratitude and the complexities of gratitude. So if you go onto kerryhowells.com, you get these articles, and my books are available through Amazon. The one that everyone is really responding to, because it's a general text, is called Untangling You, How Can I Be Grateful When I Feel So Resentful, the one you mentioned. I've also written with a co-author recently a book called Gratitude Practices for Teachers, and that's for teachers of all different levels of education, and that seems to be taking off as well. So I'm a visiting professor at Tallinn University in Estonia, where I teach a postgraduate online course called Gratitude in Practice. And I go around the world talking about gratitude and keynote addresses. And next year, I'm a keynote speaker at the NERA conference in Finland. And then I'm going to Estonia again. And then I'm going to the University of Copenhagen. So, and maybe coming to the UK again. So there's a lot going on.
There's a lot going, and this is the time for it. Now, I'm going to put you a bit on the spot here. When I saw you at the lecture in London, you were thinking of writing another book.
Yes.
And we were saying, yes, Kerry, you've got to do that.
Yes.
I'm putting you on the spot because I want you to write that book.
You want me to write that book? Well, thank you. I need the encouragement.
It's gratitude is such a big thing that we all around the world need to incorporate in our daily life. And so that's why you've mentioned your books, and I'll put it there in the bio when I put it up, and the different things you're doing, your podcast. And we need more to look at, to encourage, and we're all coming from different backgrounds, different situations, and I know it's going to be so helpful. So you've got your online courses.
Yeah.
Can you just repeat how one connects to that again, please?
Oh, yeah. If you just go onto my website, kerryhowells.com, and you can fill in a contact form on the website if you have any questions about how to contact me or how to join a course or how to create a gratitude course with me. And I'm working in schools. I have a school in Melbourne, a brand new school where they're basing a lot of their whole new school on my work, which is very exciting. So I go to Melbourne often. there's just everything. But I'm glad you mentioned and encouraged me about that new book, because I was thinking about it, and then when I met your group and we just kind of fell into each other's hearts.
It was lovely,
and it was so beautiful. Like, it was so timely for me too, because when I told you the name of the book, because it's about the larger resentments, I really want to go into the bitter disappointment that we feel in the face of war and trauma. And I can only do that as a philosopher, but I've been shying away from that because I just felt like it's too far to take people. But I feel like there is a great need for gratitude when we're going through these difficult times. So that's what I'm into it, and that's my task, because you all gave me that task. You said you must. And so since then, people are coming and telling me stories about how they've been practicing gratitude, because I actually don't know the answer. I need all of you to tell me the answer, and I'll just write it. So if any of your audience have stories about how gratitude has helped them through really difficult times, I'd be so interested to interview them or make contact with them. So please let me know.
So it is a case to my viewers. Please try and do this gratitude. Go ahead and try it. Try as many things as you can for your life, but gratitude, and it's not just what you're saying, Kerry. I know through different religions and through different cultures, gratitude is a thing that is embedded. I mean, Buddhism, Christianity, Muslim, whatever, they all talk about gratitude. And it is an intricate part, and therefore I'm so glad to have this interview to bring it out and to show people that yes, how it does affect, and you've done the research into it, and as I said, with the biological and the physiology and how you feel, and it's there for everybody to see. But I would like to say to everybody to do try the gratitude, do try this gratitude on a daily basis, probably, just stop and look. Please do go to Kerry's website. And for those who do the gratitude, and you've have experiences, you have something, Kerry has said, go to her website and please leave a message. Is that correct, Kerry?
Yes. Thank you. And I've got a 30-day practice up there, a free 30-day gratitude practice that I started during COVID. So when the wave of doom and gloom and total disruption happened, I decided to respond with a wave of gratitude. So I created this 30-day gratitude practice that I have up on my website for people to do. So
that's the way for people to start. So there you are. Go to Kerry's website, go to the 30-day practice. That's a way of you starting. She'll give you guidance there. And please do, start that. And please get back to her. Let her know what you feel, the results you've had from that, and share it with others. Dr. Kerry Howells, thank you so much for your time. This has been wonderful. I know, as I've heard, but I look at my own life and I think that I can see different things that I'm tackling, and I understand perfectly what you say. And I know sometimes even we talk about gratitude, as you say, it can be difficult, and you've written that in the book. It can be difficult, but it's something that I feel we should practice and we should continue, because it is a breakthrough in our energy, in changing things around us. It's and it has that feeling, and it has that a ripple effect, and it does affect people around us. So let's all try that if we can, if you want to, but there it is. So Dr. Kerry Howells, thank you so much for your time.
Thank you, Susie.
Being with us. And I know it's late because it's in Australia, so we're coming up to, I think it was what, 9 o'clock?
9 o'clock, yeah.
Okay, so I'm going to let you go, and I'm so thankful and grateful for you giving me this time in the evening, because it's coming up to 9:45 in London, so we've had to do the time difference.
Yes. But we did it.
So thank you.
It's been a pleasure. It's been a pleasure. Thank you, Lindsay. It's been gorgeous.
Thank you to everybody for joining in, and thank you and goodbye.
Goodbye. Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye.